absent the beginning of this, where Joe Biden said, we're going to deter this conflict. He wanted to deter conflict. That didn't happen. So that's a failure from the outset. I think so far, the level of support we've given them has been effective.
All right, we're going to mute everybody, and I'm just going to start recording in a few minutes.
Not because we're afraid of Vladimir Putin, but because we don't.
Who is this? Okay. Hold on one second. Okay.
Hey, Linda,
Yes.
at the end of the meeting, I have something to tell everybody, so just give me like a minute right at the end.
Okay. You got it.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Just so you know, we are recording this, like I always do. Same thing. I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their day and joining me. And I know last week we left off on building the database. Not sure if anyone started to take the time to do that. I know personally myself, I've been updating mine, trying to add more contacts and keep building it a little bit better. We did discuss that somewhere on the NARS national average is, we'll even go on the low end of it, 10% of your database will either buy or sell directly through you or be able to refer you business within the next year. So if you can build it to 500, that's about 50 transactions, and our average sale price being somewhere around 400,000, let's give or take, it's about a 10,000 in commissions, our average commission. You guys do the math, it's a heck of a lot of money next year. So this is why it's such a big thing. And I know everyone's been asking me about where to buy leads and get leads as we're drying up and trying to get these out of town people coming in. But this is the greatest way to do it. And it's all free. And it's not cold calling, because these are people that are personally known to you that will refer you business. Past clients is the biggest one. So now that last week we talked a little bit about building a database, this week we're going to talk a little bit more about using that database to actually generate leads. So let me get my notes. For some reason, I have the wrong one in front of me. To generate leads. I know, I've mentioned before, we've all had that friend or neighbor that either you see the for sale sign in their front yard go up, or that they go, oh, well, we just, my cousin just bought a house, or I forgot about you. We've all been in that situation. Lord knows I have. I just lost one of my ex-husband. I just didn't think to reach out to them in time, and it happens to everybody. But if we can figure out how to work this and keep in touch with them on a regular basis, then we're more likely to continue to get that business. There was a recent study done by Nielsen that said 92% of people said that they would rather get a referral from a family member or friend or someone they trust. And I believe real estate has turned to that, just like any other business. As women, if we want our hair done, we usually ask somebody. If we want our, somebody to do seamstress work, we ask for a referral. We ask for referrals for pool companies, handymans, and real estate has gotten to that point too. For the most part, that's what 92% of the buyers or sellers out there are going to ask for a referral. You see it on social media and Nextdoor app that people are always looking for referrals for doctors or anything. So that's always your greatest source. Now, as we talk about working this database, remember, we should be treating this, we're independent contractors, but we have to treat this like a job, and we have to work it 5 days a week. And what I'm asking from you shouldn't be a whole lot, maybe an hour out of that day. And the easiest way to really work this database, now we've compiled it, hopefully it's a little bit more than an Excel spreadsheet, like I gave you some tips for some CRMs out there. And the way to work it is real easy. You're going to start off with a phone call. And if you think about the alphabet, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. And on average, there's 22 work days in a month. Take it Monday through Friday. So if you were to just do a letter, starting with A, and to make a phone call, you're probably going to call somewhere between 5 and 10 people a day, and you'll get through the whole alphabet within the first month. No more than about an hour of your time, because each phone call should only last about 5 minutes. So even if you're up to 10, 11, 12, you're still hitting that less than an hour. And I know that some of them, of course, we can say that there is, you know, more letters in the alphabet, but let's face it, that U, X, Y, and Z kind of don't count, because I don't know too many people with those initials. So the first phone call you're going to make, it is just going to be that. And I'm going to give you a various list of reasons that you could use to call them, and then we're going to go. But by implementing this little alphabet system, you're kind of not going to let people slip through the cracks. And the best way to keep it short and sweet, because remember, these are people that are personally known to them, is to start right off from the beginning. This is a business call. It makes it easy for that. And you can add a personal touch. Now, if you use a CRM like Top Producer or some of those, they integrate social media so you can see their last post that they did. You can say, hey, I saw little Johnny hit a home run at his baseball game, or I saw you guys just went on a recent trip, or hey, you went to this restaurant, how was it? Add something very personal to keep it, but remind them it's a business call. And then the thing that most agents forget is they get on the phone and we have to do a call to action. We have to have that call to action. So you spend a couple of minutes still in real estate. By the way, the market's been crazy hot. Have you thought about selling your house? Sellers are getting an all-time high. Or if you know that they might rent, then you can say, hey, while rental prices are going high, have you considered buying? And if they say, no, we're sitting tight, we love where we live, love our school system, everything's great, that's when you say, do you know anyone else that could be using my service? It's a call to action. If we don't ask for the business, they're not going to just hand it over. So it's a complete call to action. And while you're doing this in your CRM, you should always be making notes, because they may say, well, you know, we've thought about it, but Susie's got one more year of high school, so we're not going to do anything until after that, which is a lot of people. So you mark in to start calling them around this time next year, because they're going to start being the foot in the door. But we're still going to keep in touch with them over the course of the next 12 months, and I'll go over how we're going to do that. And then we're going to make notes, and it's going to be what I like to do: send, which people we're going to actually send some material to; call, which they say, call me back in a month or so; or C. C is going to be those ones that say, I keep hearing this. What do you think I can get for my house? Then you want to make an appointment right then and there to go over and see them. On the send ones, these are some people, if they don't maybe live here. I know in my database, I have a lot of people up in New Jersey. I still call them and still keep them in my database, because let's face it, most of New Jersey is coming down. And even though my personal friends and family may not, they may know somebody that wants to relocate to South Florida. So I want to send them. Sometimes it could be a direct mail out. Sometimes it could be an email campaign. If you use some of these CRMs that I suggested, they have all kinds of templates built into it, so you don't even have to think about it. And then you also want to see if maybe they are even going to qualify for a loan. During the course of a quick conversation, they may say, I totally just switched careers, which that's going to be kind of hard for them to qualify for a loan. They may say, oh, it's been rough, I was laid off, or this. So you're making notes in that CRM to constantly remind you of things too. The call ones are the ones, like I just said, that may say, hey, we're thinking about it, but the timing isn't right. Or when you ask them if there's someone they work with, they say, I think this person mentioned that they're looking to list their house, but let me make sure it's all right to contact them. Then you put them on the callback. Then you know it's when to call them back in a week or whatever, however the conversation was. And like I said, the C's are the ones that say, I'm ready to either buy or sell right now. Then make some type of appointment to go see them, even if it's to meet up for coffee, if they live local and they're friends or something along that line. I also have always used to get in the habit of doing these baskets. And in the beginning of January, I had baskets ready to take to the post office, but it makes it a lot easier for me to do it at one shot than remember to do it throughout the year. So my January basket that I would pick up and mail immediately is usually something about a New Year's goal, some motivation, something along that line, right? Just something short and sweet if you want to do a direct mail out. February, especially your past clients, you should always send them a copy of their closing statement along with a reminder to file for a homestead exemption. So that's always a great one to do there. April, it's tax tips are always great. June, you could send them something for summer fun. If you're sending out to local people in Coral Springs, you can send them, you can even email, or you can send them something about the camps or something going on. August is always back to school. October would be a fun fall recipe. And then of course the holidays is a Christmas card. So yeah, I always get my Christmas cards by extra boxes. And then in the beginning of the year, when you're having that downtime, I start filling all my baskets and go through and print my labels right from my database, or you can handwrite them. And then this way, I'm not doing it throughout the year. I'm just taking in June, I'm grabbing a basket, putting stamps on and going to the post office. Makes it a little bit easier to do it that way, but you can do whatever system works for you. You can even take it another step. Every time you have a closing, there's a company called the Personal Marketing Company, and I've used them for years. And the reason I've used them is they do nice hits for 5 years, and it's so cheap. It's $25 a client, right? And basically what they do is they send a thank you card immediately for you. Then they send 2 magazines a year that are personalized to them from you. It looks like the magazine is branded to you. And then 2 personal cards. The personalized cards are usually recipes or something like that. So they're hitting them 4 times with direct mail outs. I'm sorry, 5 times a year with direct mail outs for 5 years straight. So it's really great. So you have the closing, you have the money, you should do it. And I remember last week on the call, we said, take it a step further and do the co-op, whoever was the buyer or seller on the opposite end, because chances are their realtor's not doing it. So adopt them into your database. On the you can also, on the 1st of every month, you may want to go right ahead and go through your database. And like if you use something, and I don't mean to keep throwing top producer at you, but some of them that are geared towards realtors, you can search by date. So if they have an anniversary, a birthday, or it's the anniversary of the day they bought the house from you, it's nice to do a handwritten note, and handwritten notes can go really far. People love still getting mail. I love getting cards in the mail, other than all the spam I get all the time. 1st of the month, I go through, I do my handwritten cards. If you want just note cards, remember I have URG note cards. I have a huge box of them. They're like I think $1 a card. So it's kind of nice. It's and to send out. And then once again, get those in the mail right away, because you don't want to miss acknowledging people's birthdays. So now we've done where we're doing some direct mail outs, we're touching base with them. Emails also a great thing. If you never know what to send, once again, a lot of these have templates built in. You can always just send links to stuff going on in the community. You could send market updates. If you go on the back on your dashboard through the MLS, there's links back there to all kinds of articles and everything else. I also get almost every day, I get some type of email from FAR or NAR that has links that you could send to people, just keeping them updated. But sometimes it comes from other realtors and I just use it. But so now that we've gotten through this, we've called them the first time and you've made all your notes, and then we're still reminding them. We're doing some direct mail outs, some emails. We're making sure they're all on your social media. So when you post on social media about a new listing, it's another way to remind them that you're in real estate and you are the professional that they want to use in the future. You also need to be calling them quarterly. You don't want to do it more than that, because then it gets a little bit on harassment, but you want to be reaching out to them quarterly. Same thing. This is a business call. If you want to bring in something personal on the call, you can. And my hint to you, when they start to get long-winded and start to take it off of a business call, that's when I always said to them, listen, I do have these calls to make. As I mentioned, it was a business call. I've got some other calls to get through, but let me call you later call me later this evening or Saturday afternoon. And I want to hear all about your vacation or all about how Susie's doing in school. And they'll be like, oh yeah, of course. Usually they forget to call me back. So, but if not, then when they call, I'm at home and I have time to talk to them. And I'm not trying to do it through my work schedule. Like I mentioned, there might be other things. You can also use LinkedIn is a great thing because it always announces people's work histories, like their anniversary of their job. So you may want to just send them a quick email or, hey, congratulations on or when you're calling them. I saw you've been at your job for 3 years now. I just want to say congratulations. Like I said, you compliment their kids, making it personal, any other kids' achievements, anything. If you saw something new, they bought a new car, they posted something exciting. Maybe you ran into somebody that they might know. You can say, hey, I ran into this person. Do you happen to know them? You're giving it more of a personal touch too. Or you can just say, I simply also just wanted to say hi to you. It's been a while since we've spoken. People are a lot more receptive to that, but make sure at the end of every call, you're always doing that call to action and asking them for it. Those ones that we talked about that you really need to go see, like I said, if they're saying that that's something really soon, either try and set up a listing appointment. If that seems a little aggressive to them, just invite them for a cup of coffee. You could invite them to lunch, or a nice way to acknowledge people after you do it is sometimes if they say, I'm so busy this week, the kids have this, the kids are home from school. You know what I've done before in the past and that blows clients away? I send a pizza to the house. On Tuesday night, I'll tell you it's $10 pizza night. I send a pizza to the house and I send them a text. Hey, I know you've had a really busy week with the kids home on spring break. Thought you didn't want to cook tonight. Pizza's being delivered on its way. Their kids are always going to eat pizza. You can even just send a nice plant to the house. I've sent movie tickets to clients before saying, hey, take a break from your busy work week. It's also nice to send out to your sellers. Why I do an open house, I've always sent them to the movies for the matinee. So the most important thing is that you are working it. Like I said, it's going to start with that first one. And those first couple phone calls, and when you pick them up, it's going to feel uncomfortable. And there may be some people that definitely say to you, hey, Laura, please take me off this list. I have no interest in buying or selling, but you have to respect that from people. You also don't want to ruin your friendships or any relationships you've built through the years too. So the key thing here is that we are directly hitting them with either a direct mail out. I would prefer it 4 times a year. You could do a little more than that if you want. I would be sending them an email on a monthly basis and making that contact with them directly on the phone, picking up and dialing 4 times a year. So the beginning of each quarter, you pick it up, dial. We are just ending this quarter. So starting April 1st would be a great time to really start implementing this. And I hope that everyone's doing it, and I hope that it works for you because it really will get you a lot more transactions. I promise you that. I promise that you should be getting somewhere about 10% more from the number of people in your database. So with that being said, next week, we are going to take it a turn a little bit. I am going to be discussing some ethics, some fair housing stuff. I'm going to keep it really on the legal side because there's been a lot of issues lately and a lot of things people just aren't aware of or it slips their mind. So that is going to be next Thursday's call. So I do hope you all join me for that because that's a really, really important one. Nobody wants to be put in that position. It's just going to be based off of all the text and phone calls I've gotten for the first quarter. So Laura, I know you wanted to mention something too, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, I know we've all heard like 1,000 times, be careful about fraud, especially on a wire transfer. Well, I know we're all well aware of it and we're vigilant, but sometimes clients make foolish errors. So I'm about to close on a house in Coral Springs. I represent, well, we as a broker, we represent the seller. So we're getting ready to close. We were supposed to close yesterday. And the day before closing, well, let me back up a little bit. So the buyer had two deposits, initial deposit of 10,000. 8 days later, after the 7-day inspection period, second deposit of 20,000. So twice he had wired money to the title company. So the day before yesterday, so we could close yesterday, he wired his money to the title company, but he got scammed. And someone had hacked into his email and they phonied up an email that looked like it was coming from the title company. And he wired $130,000 to the wrong place. So
It's not his email. It's usually the title companies that they're going after.
okay, well, whatever, but he got an email. Once the title company, he realized something had gone amiss. When he double checked the email, it was so-and-so@gmail.com. So they realized then like, oh no, it was wrong. Somebody scammed him. But anyway, 130,000 gone, went into Chase Bank. He contacted them. He didn't realize it until the next morning when the title company called him and said, hey, you know, we have to make some little adjustment or something. And he said, oh, I already emailed, I wired the money yesterday. And they said, oh, we didn't get it. And that's how it was discovered. So it was at least 10 or 12 hours after he wired it that it got wired. Anyway, so he went to Chase, which was the criminals bank where he wired the money, and they fiddled around for a while, but they blocked the account, but they still won't tell him like how much is in the account because it's not his account. So there's like a day or two of regulatory stuff they have to jump through in order to be able to tell him like, is his money there or it's already out of there or whatever. But anyway, I'm just warning everybody.
Correct. And
Be
thank you.
super vigilant. And you know, my deal blow up now.
Thank
So-
you. But, and I've gone over this before. It's always about educating a buyer and reminding them the title company is never going to send you a change of wire instructions. Always call them to verify directly.
Yes. Yes.
And always verify the email. The other big scam we are seeing out there, especially in this multiple offer buyers and realtors, and I've mentioned it before on our calls, and I'll mention it again. And I've gotten them too. We've gotten an offer and they're putting a whole bunch of money up front in escrow, and they offer, even if they're offering to put like 100,000 escrow, and then they say in it that if they cancel during the inspection period, that the seller can keep 5,000 and the realtor can even keep, or 2,500, and the realtor can keep 2,500. So of course the seller thinks it's a win-win. The realtor thinks it's a win-win because they're all excited they're keeping money. And then what happens is it's money laundering is all it is. They're wiring it into a title company from whatever, and a lot of it's coming from overseas. It goes in, and then they're able to, the title company, when they refund the difference, they're sending it directly to a US bank account. So it's a direct form of money laundering. Usually if it looks too good to be true, it is. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the biggest scam we're getting now, and the feds are onto that because it's pure money laundering.
Well, just everybody who has a buyer, warn them, warn them, warn them.
Yes, you should always educate the buyer. And most title companies, it says it now on the bottom of their email. I know South Florida Title says it right in their email, alert on wire frauds. But it is always educating your buyers and sellers of everything. So if your seller sees an offer like this too, we could very well be that it's money laundering. And that's where making sure that the funds are coming from a US bank account is the most important thing. So I know people get creative all the time, and then shows like Ozark don't really help us much.
Right, right. Well, I mean, especially like Chase now won't even tell them what's in the account because by bank regulations, they can't.
Yep.
So he doesn't know if all his money is gone or part of his money is gone. I'm assuming it's all gone. If any of it's gone, it's
Yeah,
probably
you'd
all
be
gone.
surprised. We've had this, and unfortunately it's happened quite a few times. that I know of with URG agents, and they do get the federal, because of it's going from wire to wire, it's a federal crime.
Right,
And
FBI
they'll
is
track down the
involved.
IP address and everything of that
Right.
email.
Yeah, the FBI is involved at
Yep.
this point. but-
Yep, they do,
Yeah.
they do. So, and they, nowadays with today's technology and everything, they'll know exactly where that IP address came from.
All right, well, I hope the guy gets his money back.
I do hope it works out for him. But
Right.
once again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of the day. Like I always try and keep it. We're right at our 30 minutes. I know everyone's very busy. If you have any questions, concerns, or conundrums outside of this, always feel free to contact me. Once again, I know next week isn't going to be as helpful to bringing in new business to you, but it's also going to keep you out of those liability issues. And I think I'm going to keep doing this once a quarter, and I'm going to go through all the crazy text and phone calls I've gotten and update you on anything, because some of it, a lot of realtors just aren't even aware of. So with that being said, I hope to see everybody next Thursday on the call. And we'll continue to do this every Thursday, like I said, no matter how many people join us. Thank you so much, and
Thank
I
you,
hope
Linda.
everyone has a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Linda. Bye-bye.
Bye.